In a country where access to affordable housing remains a pressing challenge, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria remains committed to bridging the gap and making home ownership a reality for all Nigerians. Through this podcast, we aim to provide you with a comprehensive understanding of the initiatives, opportunities, and of course, the products and services that the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria offers. You're welcome to this week's edition of FMBN podcast, proudly sponsored by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. My name is Patience Okai. Let's quickly go on a short break. We'll be right back.
Let's go.
Huh? What is it again?
Oga, and they drive this car, my mind no dey. My landlord is on my neck.
Your landlord again? I thought I have told you this before. Get a mortgage, register with NHF scheme, and get a home up front. What is so difficult about this?
Oga, I will do just that. See, I will shame that my landlord. Mortgage.
At the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, everyone deserves a home.
All right, welcome back to FMBN podcast. So this is your gateway to the world of affordable housing here on 7FM TV. So these are the frequently asked questions by Nigerians. Nigerians are asking, can I get a loan as an individual to build my own house? Or do I need to buy a government-owned estate or buy from a private estate developer? Here's the response.
Yes, you can apply as an individual for an NHF loan to develop a land or buy directly from government-consult estates or private estate developers.
All right, interesting. So coming up is an exclusive interview with 7FM TV correspondent Austin Beatrice Sinam with the group head marketing, Mr. Uche Ihejirika. Let's join the conversation.
How do you explain to somebody who, because earlier while you were talking, you talked about people, aside from just being contributors to the scheme, there are other things that are involved, maybe affordability and other monthly payment. I think you used that very well. Yeah. How do you explain to somebody who is a contributor to the scheme? Because I met someone one of the times and then he told me, I've been a contributor for 10 years now. I've been trying to get a house through the Federal Mortgage Bank, but I've not been able to get that.
That's right.
What is that person not doing right? Because since he has been a contributor, that means the eligibility is there. What is he not doing right? I also know that there are houses that are lying just there idle without having occupants in them. How do you explain to these people and what should they do to be able to benefit from the scheme?
So the first thing that we talk about eligibility, that you are a contributor to the scheme, right, is one aspect of that eligibility. Okay. Then there's what we call affordability, right? And that affordability is a function of how much you earn in terms of income. By the time you do the normal calculation around it, that's 1/3 of your income, right? Can that afford you? Because the rule does not allow you to spend 1/3 of what you earn only to deal with. It does allow you to spend more than 1/3 of what you earn to enable you access mortgage, right? Because there are other obligations you have to address from your income. So, I mean, the rule recognizes that fact and, made it a little bit easier for. So, but when you run that affordability test on these subscribers, you discover a lot of them do not have that affordability to uptake, what we have in terms of, mortgages. But, so that you are a contributor does not give you that leeway, right? So what we try to advise, or what we try to talk to those of them that cannot afford, is to look at possibly shedding off what they have in terms of other obligations, right? Because they might be committed to some other loan obligations. Get rid of that so that you could improve on your affordability rating, right? So that you can have access to these houses. Now, the other side of it is in terms of our internal processes, right? Because it doesn't really make sense when somebody apply for a loan, you have to drag unnecessarily before the loan is consummated. So the bank is taking steps to look at how we could redesign our processes and get it more automated, to fast track, the loan, access, part, so that we can deliver this thing within a record time, right? Which we are beginning to see results, based on the automations that are currently going on in the bank, right? So that is second aspect of it. So I've talked about issue of affordability, that you are contributing may not give you that full eligibility to have access to the loan, and then we have mentioned what we're trying to get those contributors do in order to be able to arrive at the point where they can access this mortgage. Then on our own part, I've talked about the bank redesigning our processes, automating them to get that traction we need to get in terms of processing this loan. Then on the side of the developers, because you need to put all these parties into consideration, right? Like you said, some houses, some estates are being commissioned, right? If you take, for instance, the estates being anchored on what you call the TUC, NECA and Labour. Now you have these parties called labor unions, right? And they come out and tell you, say, look, for this 100 housing units done in this location A or location B, you hold on first, because you are doing it in a tripartite relationship that our members, have to take advantage of these houses first, and obviously nobody's arguing that, because we are building for them. It's based on their contributions that they are making these whole interventions. But it's not a situation whereby, these leaders will come and tell you, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And meanwhile, there's a duration they are meant to take these houses. And they are there lying fallow. Nobody's occupying them. You can imagine where until will start setting in, right? Even to provide security for, within such, estates to have, barricade, criminal-minded persons that will come in and begin to take advantage of what you would have deployed in that estate. It's a cost for the bank, right? So these labor leaders in quotes, in one way or the other, somehow stalled the process of allocating these housing units to their members. They come and tell you A, B, C, D, right? And move, you can't move.
So these are challenges, isn't it?
Yeah, they are part of the challenges.
How do you tend to tackle them?
So it's continuous engagement, right? Like I talked about issue of making these products to go viral, taking advantage of digital platforms and all that, which we're almost at the point of concluding that. We have digital footprints already, but what we're doing within that space is more of, trying to react to, inquiries from customers saying largely around NHF contribution. Okay, I don't know my balance, I've been contributing, where are the houses and all that. So we are trying to, activate that side of, marketing these houses. But importantly, regarding the labor unions, how we are engaging them, the bank continuously engage the leadership of these unions to get them to understand that, look, we are really doing these things to address the needs of their members. And the quicker we get this thing sorted out, the better for everybody. Otherwise, capital is tied down. We can't turn around those capital, because we have delivered on the project. but for one or two reasons of taking is not taking place. Do you understand? So they are beginning to come into that space to understand they have to equally do their own role to ensure that it becomes a win-win for everybody. Because the ultimate reason why we go into production of those housing units is for them. It's really for them because they are the contributors to the fund, right? And it's beginning to make sense to their leadership, and we begin to see positive feedback in that direction. But it's not a one-day drug. You have to keep on talking. I'm just talking about one aspect of the one product we are dealing with here. Other products like issue of cooperative, issue around ministerial housing, pilot housing schemes, EDL is what you call the traditional estate development loans. It's an open market, right? Which the PMBs are playing a role, and through the rent to own, the bank is equally not taking that responsibility squarely to ensure that the customers benefit.
But asset held for sale, but I don't know if we have that enough time. So tell us, what does the future hold for subscribers?
If you ask me, I would tell you it's very great future for the subscribers or for the contributors to the National Housing Fund, because there are measures the bank has taken in the recent time to return back and give the customers or the contributors a very enhanced experience, right? Especially when you look at it from our strategic aspirations. The bank is driving the implementation of a 5-year strategic plan, and one of the pillars within that framework speaks directly to giving these customers a better experience, because they are the reason why we are here, why we are doing what we are doing. So yes, we've had challenges in the past. I mean, it's normal, but with the kind of proactive leadership we have in the recent time, I mean, look at the caliber of leaders we have. These are industry, experienced, practitioners. There's a whole lot that the subscribers or consumers should look forward to enjoying from Federal Mortgage Bank. And with the creation of the direct marketing group, it's going to be a more closer relationship. We are being positioned out there for them to speak to us concerning their needs and expectations from Federal Mortgage Bank, right? And we are determined to ensure that we walk through the work with them and make sure we create that customer that better experience we have signed up to do, right, in the next couple of years ahead. And once they are able to understand that and have that confidence in us, I'm sure it will be a better time for them going forward.
Okay, lastly, how do you explain the Federal Mortgage Bank to a layman in the streets? Just meeting a layman, how do you explain the Federal Mortgage Bank?
So I will tell you that Federal Mortgage Bank, as the name goes, is very simple. I mean, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. So there are key words within this construct, right? There's a mortgage, there's a bank, there's a Nigeria, there's a federal. So what is mortgage, right? Mortgage is that financial instruments or that financial platform that enable you to actualize the dream of owning your own home. It's all about home ownership. You can't achieve home ownership without taking a mortgage part. Yes, in other climes, in other instances, you can achieve that. Possibly you have that lump sum kind of money you can deploy into getting your own property. That's fine. But for a low middle income earner, right, that needs to take care of other obligations, the surest path to realize that home ownership, right, within the context of our own environment is that mortgage. So I would tell that layman there's need for you to stick with this scheme, right? For those who already contributed, to continue to educate them to understand what mortgage is all about, right? And for those who are not there yet, to want them to come into the space by making that 2.5 contribution on a monthly basis, and this is what you get in return for doing that. Okay, so that is what we do here, and that is the confidence we have coming to them. Say, look, this is our commitment to you, and this is what we stand to do for you. So it's first to let these individuals know what this thing represents, because the literacy level is still very poor. You know, a lot of people still do not understand what mortgage is all about. And once you're able to get them to that understanding, I'm sure they will enjoy what they're going to get beyond that.
So just like the judiciary is the hope of the common man, the Federal Mortgage Bank is what to Nigeria, just in that sense.
So basically, in terms of home ownership, is the hope of that common man, right? And we are talking about shelter here. I know what shelter represents in the basic needs of a human being. I mean, I don't want to go academic line here. Maslow made it clear, in terms of human needs: shelter, food, and what again? Clothing. So that is the space we find ourselves. Is that shelter? Very, very important for you to have a well-being as a human being, for you to even to drive the economy of any nation, right? Housing and mortgage is very key, and that is what we represent. So we have to walk through the walk with them, the occupants, and a lot of them are willing to really get things right, right? They are very determined to get things right. So it's not a lost case. We are really on this assignment, and we are engaging them head on, and we are seeing results, right? But the results are not really to the extent we want to see them happen. But there's a process that is ongoing, and once we continue to sustain the path we've taken now to resolve these things, we'll see more value and we'll see more results in what we are doing.
Okay. That was well detailed, Mr. Austin. Thank you very much. So coming up next, it's FMBN news for the week. But before then, let's quickly go on a short break. And when we come back, we'll dive right in.
Talk. One, two. Now, what? Stop! No, people. Don't go back. I want to go from
Sorry, comrade.
Thank you.
As an up-to-date contributor of the National Housing Fund, I will advise you to just apply straight away for a mortgage loan. Yes, there are several types you could apply for. There is the rent to own a home loan. There is the cooperative loan. There are several of them. Instead of paying so much money to these Shylock landlords.
At the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, everyone deserves a home.
The latest couple in town.
Good day, sir.
How are you? Oh, sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Drinks?
No, we're fine, sir.
How was the moon experience?
It was quite an experience.
How about house?
We are renting at the moment, but we intend to save enough to own our own house, right?
Why not avoid all those Shylock landlords and own a house upfront? With the average income and cost of building houses today in Nigeria, mortgage is the best option. No sweat. I tell you what, that was how I got my first house, and I've never regretted it.
To make good homes, and by implication, a good society, an individual is expected to have an abode from which to take off and return at the end of each day. At the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, everyone deserves a home. Come join us at FMBN and let's shelter Nigeria together.
You are still on to the program FMBN podcast, proudly sponsored by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria here on 7FM TV. So let's bring you FMBN news this week. many thanks for joining us on this week's edition. And of course, do follow us on all our social media handles displayed on your screen at Instagram 7TV_NIG, Twitter 7TV_NIG, Facebook 7TV Nigeria, YouTube 7FM-TV. You can of course visit our website at www.7media.ng and do well to visit www.fmbn.gov.ng for more information. Till I come your way next week, my name is Patience Okai. Bye.